you're a Year 9 and also Year 10 if you're watching this, these are some harder linear equations and they're at the kind of extended abstract end of thinking for Year 9s. Most of them have got x's on both sides, some of them have got brackets. They're almost all fractional or negative numbers that we get as the answer, but the goal is the same thing in every question. It's to figure out the value of the variable, which is usually x, that's going to make the equation a true statement. So we just need to go slowly and think about undoing one step at a time, just like we do when we're doing our simpler equations. So what you should do is copy down those equations and then try and work through them on your own first before I go through each one. And if you're in my class in 2020, this worksheet's up on Google Classroom and the solutions to it are as well. So this is really just if you want me to talk you through how to do each step and where to start. Okay, so let's look at the first one. We've got 3x minus 2 over 4, take away 1 is 2x plus 1. You can see that we've got x's on both sides. I always start when I've got a fraction and then a number sitting out separately. I look at this and I kind of think about how that got formed. But you do this so automatically that you won't need to do it for very long. So just look at the left hand side. We started out with x and then we times it by 3. That gave us 3x. Then we took away 2 from that. So we've got 3x minus 2. We've done this lots of times in class. We took all of that and we divided it by 4. So we get 3x minus 2 over 4. And you can think of this as having an invisible bracket around it. Then the very last thing that we did is that we subtracted 1. So when I start to manipulate this equation, I'm going to start at this end. But you don't need to think about that for too long, because once you've done a few of these, you'll get a feeling for what to do first. So the first thing that we're going to do in here is to add the 1 to both sides. So we've got 3x minus 2 over 4 is equal to 2x plus 2. Next, we're going to multiply through by the 4. And we're multiplying all of this through by 4. So we're multiplying both sides by 4. I'm assuming if you're watching this that you're pretty comfortable with 2 steps and expanding brackets. If you're not, go back and watch some of the relational videos first. Here, we've got 4 times this, so we're going to expand the brackets. We get 8x plus 8. Now we're down to just a simple x's on both sides ones. Obviously lots of things we can do here, but I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So 3x is equal to 8x plus 10. Now I'm going to subtract the 8x. Why am I doing that? Well, I want to end up with the numbers over this side and the x's over the other side. So here we're going to get negative 5x is equal to 10, which lets me isolate the x. We're going to divide both sides through by negative 5. So you don't need to show all your loop workings as long as each statement is clear. So here we're going to have x is equal to 10 divided by negative 5. Now I'm going to write that out the slow way and just explain why I don't like how that looks there. There's a really strong convention in maths that we don't leave denominators with negative numbers in. Now it means the same thing, but to your eye, once you've done lots of maths, it just looks really weird. Okay, so here 10 divided by negative 5, we have to simplify that down and we get negative 2. Okay, so I would say with this answer, this is a bit lacking, but that's a lovely answer. Okay, the next ones are going to be a little bit faster because they're kind of similar. So equation 2 is this one. 2 plus 4x minus 1 divided by 3 is equal to 3x minus 2. I can see that I've got x on both sides, and I can see that the left-hand side is a bit muckier than the right-hand side. I'm going to start by subtracting 2 from both sides. So 4x minus 1 over 3 is equal to 3x, take away 2 more, so 3x minus 4. Now we multiply through by 3. 4x minus 1 is equal to 3 times all of that. So pop it into brackets, and now we're going to expand out the brackets. So 9x minus 12. We're back to x's on both sides. First I'll clean up my numbers. Now you can look at which way you want to go here. I'm going to do this just by adding 1 to both sides. We'll get 4x equals 9x And then minus 12 plus 1 is going to leave me with minus 11. Now I'm going to subtract the x off both sides, and I'll get negative 5x is equal to negative 11. And we end up with x is equal to 11 over 5. Because a negative over a negative gives me a positive. Now I'm going to show you how that would have worked out if I'd done it in a different order. So let's just back up and go back up to here. We'll just look at the other way we could have worked that. I want you to be really confident with when you don't need to worry about the order that you do things in, and when you do need to worry. So here, what I could have done here is said, well, I've got 9x here, and I've got 4x here. I don't like negative numbers, so I'm going to end up with the x's sitting on the right-hand side, and I'm going to do that as follows. So we'll start in the same place. But this time I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. That leaves me with negative 1 here. Negative 1 equals 5x minus 12. Now I'm going to add the 12 to both sides because I'm trying to isolate the x and isolate the number, or what we call the constants. I'm going to add 12 to both sides. So we get 11 equals 5x, and now we divide both sides by 5. 11 divided by 5 equals x. So hopefully you'll see there's not really much in it, but you can choose, you'll get used to doing your own favourite ways of these as you do more and more practice over the next few years. Fun times. Okay, question 3. Right, question 3 is a bit different. We've got more brackets. But again, the first thing I notice when I see this equation is I've got this hanging constant here. I'm going to add that onto both sides first. Now some of you will be confident enough that you can expand the brackets out, but my advice would be not to go too slowly. Not to go too quickly, sorry. So on the right hand side, I'm here going to have 2x minus 8 plus 5. But if you look before you start doing stuff on the left hand side, you'll see that here you've got 8 divided by 2. And 8 divided by 2 is simply 4. So we're going to rewrite the left hand side. This is 4 and this is just divided by 1. So we've got 4 times x plus 1, so 4x plus 4. And you'll see that in this working, I've done things in one step on both sides. Now that's fine as long as you're careful when you're doing it. And in Year 9, you're better off to do too many steps of working than not enough. And that's the same the whole way through. So let's clean up this here where we've got some numbers that can be combined. We've got 4x plus 4 is equal to 2x minus 3. Subtracting 2x from both sides gives me 2x plus 4 is equal to negative 3. 2x is equal to negative 7, and x is equal to negative 7 over 2. So look how what happens is we start with a big messy equation, and it gets simpler the further we go. Now the only thing that I could have done that I didn't spot because I was in a hurry is that I could have dealt with that 8 divided by 2 right away at the start, and that would have made things look a bit better earlier on. Right, on to number 4. Now this one's different because the variable is in the denominator for the first time. Sometimes this is going to mean that we end up getting an equation that's not linear. It'll be quadratic or something even cooler. But this one simplifies pretty nicely. So yet again, I can see that I've got a constant here, a number here, and a number here. I'm going to subtract 5/3 from both sides. I'm going to show that with a loop, just so I remember what I've done. Don't have to do that. We've got 3 over x minus 2 is equal to 4 minus 5/3. So let's write that as an improper fraction. 4 times 3 is 12, so we've got 12 minus 5 over 3. We end up with 3 over x minus 2 is equal to 7/3. Some of you will want to cross multiply this straight away. I'm fine with that as long as you understand what you're doing. I'm going to do it a little bit more slowly. I'm going to times both sides by 3 first. I'm trying to clear out the fractions. That gives me 9 over x minus 2 is equal to 7. And now I'm going to multiply both sides by x minus 2. That gives me 9 is equal to 7 times x minus 2. We'll expand that out. We get 9 is equal to 7x minus 14. We now add 14 and we get 23 equals 7x. The last step is to divide by 7. 23 over 7 equals x. Okay, I've got 2 to go and I've got 4 minutes to do them, so I'm going to speed up. Number 5. This one is good because you have to watch your negative sides. Yet again, I'm going to try and combine this with what's over here before I clear out the fraction. So we get negative x plus 3 minus 2x over 2 is equal to negative 1 plus 3x. I'm going to multiply both sides through by 2. And now I'm going to expand out my brackets. So be really careful here. I've got a negative sign here. So that means negative 1 times this. So that's negative x minus 3 minus 2x is equal to negative 2 plus 6x. Negative 3x minus 3 is equal to negative 2 plus 6x. I'm going to add this to both sides and leave us with negative 3 equals negative 2 plus 9x. Now I'm going to add negative 2 to both sides. Negative 1 is equal to 9x. We're just about there. So x is equal to negative 1/9. Different ways to do that one. When I've done my work solutions, I did it in another way. Very similar, just a slightly different order. The main thing here is that the first step I would always do here would be to add that to both sides. Okay. Right, last one, question 6. Looks horrible. It's not too bad if we understand what operations are. So it's got a fraction divided by 2n minus 1 equals 0. I'm going to start by adding 1 to both sides. And I'm going to leave this horrible, ugly fraction on top of a fraction as it is. Because the next step that I'm going to do is to multiply both sides through by 2n. Remembering that if I do that, it works because 2n divided by 2n is 1. So on this side, we're left with this. And now I've got 1 times 2n, which is 2n. Expanding out, well, first of all, let's multiply through by 3. Now we expand out the brackets here and we get negative 2n plus 2 is equal to 6n. And look, it's looking easier and easier as we go. Now I want the n's together and the constants together. I'm going to add 2n to both sides. I'm going to get 2 is equal to 8n. So n is equal to 2/8, which is not a very good answer because we've got to simplify that down. So n is equal to 1/4. There you go. Thank you for watching. Please let me know if there are any mistakes because I've done these very quickly. And if you want more like this, there are 12 more hard questions in the worksheet that I've posted on Google Classroom with full work solutions.